right. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for your attendance this morning. My name is Kim Eisenreich, and I'm the administrator of the Office of the Local Children's Board in the Department of Community Resources and Services. Our office works to create equitable services and opportunities to improve the lives of Howard County children, youth, and families through social and emotional learning, behavioral health support, advocacy for families, and community capacity building. As I introduce you to today's speakers and guests, I again want to thank Dr. Ball and his team for their extraordinary support of this initiative and for prioritizing long-lasting outcomes for students and their families and the communities in which they live. Our speakers today are County Executive Calvin Ball, Howard County Public School Superintendent Michael Martirano, Deep Run Elementary School Vice Principal Sophia Quirk, Oakland Mills Local Leadership Team Representative Alexis Adams, and Masroor Haq, a student in our Summer Scholars program. So with that, we'd like to begin with Dr. Ball.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Kim, and our entire team at the Department of Community Resources and Services for your work. I'd also like to, in addition to welcoming you to Deep Run, just thank our vaccination team. Howard County is #1 in the state because of our dedicated workers who ensure that people are vaccinated and that we eliminate all of the barriers to vaccine, as well as work to address vaccine hesitancy. We actually even have a vaccination clinic going on right now, right here at Deep Run Elementary School. And that leads me to the point that we all know. This has been a challenging year for our educators, our children, our families. As our students and educators closed out the school year last week, we've renewed our efforts to ensure that every student in Howard County can reap the benefits of our amazing public school system. For the last 3 years, Hoco STRIVES, which stands for Strategies to Reach an Inclusive Vision and Equitable Solutions, has brought together government, nonprofits, community partners, and families to steer investments in the very resources and services that the most vulnerable in our community need to be successful in school. This includes food access programs, access to mental health resources, and social and emotional learning programs. STRIVES is designed intentionally to establish a community-driven infrastructure that is adaptable and able to step in to support our young people no matter what their challenges. This past year, we called on STRIVES to set up its efforts for vulnerable children and families disproportionately affected by shutdowns and virtual learning. The need for STRIVES was even more evident this year when the number of food insecure families increased from 7% prior to the pandemic to more than 12% during this crisis. We met the emergency food needs of our families suddenly facing food insecurity, and we created Hoco Scholars to provide a safe space for 140 of our students to complete their virtual learning and increase those social interactions. Now is the time for STRIVES to step up and step in again to immediately begin addressing these gaps as we go into our summer. Prior to the pandemic in Howard County, 69% of our white children were prepared for kindergarten, compared to 44% of our black children and just 35% of our Hispanic children. We are using this moment to be proactive, and we know that in the upcoming year, the data will show these gaps that already existed were only exacerbated by the pandemic. In 2019 and 2020, we provided $400,000 annually to Hoco STRIVES and launched new initiatives to support our students, but we know there is more work to be done. And that's why we're here today, to discuss how we can help level the playing field for our students and families who have fallen behind. Today, we're announcing $750,000 in funding for our Hoco STRIVES initiatives. That's an 88% increase of our prior investment. With this funding, we are able to support 3 critical areas for our students: doubling our capacity for our Summer Scholars program, establishing an after-school program here at Deep Run Elementary School, and launching a new local leadership team here in Elkridge to help identify student and community needs. Each of these programs are tools to support our students as they prepare for an upcoming year and return to our school buildings this fall. As educators are confronted with student learning gaps, STRIVES will be here to help. Our Summer Scholars program works with rising middle school students to get them math and English ready and support students who have fallen behind by getting them back on graduation track. We began this program based on the work of the local leadership team in Oakland Mills, who identified this need within their community and helped design this program to provide opportunity for middle schoolers who required extra attention as they prepared for high school success. This summer, we will be growing Scholars by expanding it from 1 site at Oakland Mills Middle to 2 sites, now serving also our Harper's Choice and Wild Lake Middle School students. This will double the number of middle school students the program is able to serve from 90 to 180 of our students. You'll see on the picture board beside me, based upon the data from the latest in-person cohort from Oakland Mills Middle, that 94% of rising 6th and 7th graders completed the program on track to take Algebra 1 in the 8th grade. 44% of our rising 8th graders completed the program on track to take Algebra 1 in the upcoming academic year, and 100% of our students maintained or improved their reading scores. I'm confident that we will see the same success for our students at the new site as well this summer. Hoco Scholars, with this increased fiscal year funding, will also be able to establish the Back to School Project, which is an after-school program here at Deep Run Elementary for families living in the Deep Run Mobile Park and Sherwood Crossing Apartments. It will be in collaboration with the local Children's Board, the Office of Children and Families, and the Howard County Public School System. Specifically, this program will provide academic support and enrichment services for students grades kindergarten through 3rd grade. That will include a social and emotional learning component and enrichment activities beyond academics. The program will kick off at the end of the summer with a back-to-school night and will provide 400 of our K through 12 students with school supplies and support and a strong start for their school year. In addition to providing support for students, this program will also provide quality programming for their parents and families. This will involve helping them navigate school system and human services agencies, as well as facilitating connections for mental health resources. The adult programming will also provide free English language tutoring to parents and families in need of the service. Finally, this funding will allow us to launch a new local leadership team in Elkridge, a group that is the catalyst to all the important programs that we've talked about today. STRIVES employs a local leadership team, or LLT, approach to to identify the specific services a community would most benefit from, whether that's food, medical access, or just extra learning supports. Our approach focuses on the strengths of a community so that they feel confident and empowered to be the leaders of change in the community. I mentioned them earlier, and now I'd like to acknowledge the success of our first LLT team, Oakland Mills Local Leadership Team, which will serve as a model for Elkridge. They have become a trusted community resource for Oakland Mills residents and helped to envision many of the programs you've heard about today, including our Summer Scholars. As with Oakland Mills, the goal will be to help our children and young people and families in Elkridge thrive by identifying needs and working with community partners to address those needs. With this important funding and at this critical moment, we can reach more students and families in need in Howard County. Now, none of this would be possible without all the partners that invest the time and energy to make these programs successful, many of whom are here today. I'd like to especially thank our Howard County Public School System and Dr. Michael Martorano, our Department of Community Resources and Services, our local Children's Board. All of you have given your steadfast support to bring these programs to our students and make sure that each of our students is seen. These investments we're making now will have a positive impact on these children and youth and their entire family for generations to come. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Dr. Bell. Mike Monterano, do you want to come up? Thank you so much, Superintendent, for being here.
Well, good morning, everybody. This is a historical event for me personally because I believe it's the first press conference where I have not had a mask on. And so when we think about the introductory comments of our county executive, I'm so proud to be a part of a community that has placed such emphasis on vaccinations. It wasn't too long ago that we had our graduations at Meriwether and able to move our young people forward. And that very important event in our community is the pinnacle of our community in the sense of our graduation rate. And when we think about more young people graduating, that's our goal as a community. And as we back map that and we unpack that, we think about all the necessary supports that our young people need. So I'm very honored to be here today, working in collaboration with our county executive, Dr. Ball, with STRIVES, because we need to acknowledge that this last 15 months has been extremely taxing on our families, our community, and most importantly, our children. I just want to emphasize a few points. When we think of Howard County, we think of our county's affluence, and that's a very positive thing. But we also need to lift up the individuals in our community who have great challenges. In our school system, 23% of our young people, close to 12,000 of our 60,000 students, qualify for free and reduced meals. At this time of the year, when everybody's excited about going home for the summer, I become a little more saddened because I think about our children who are suffering in silence, who have additional struggles, and as they go home, we think about the supports of which they may need. So during this time of collaboration, our STRIVES program, the support of our school system, the program at Deep Run, the expansion, now more than ever, we need to rally around our young people to provide the supports because of the regression that has occurred during the summer. The regression has occurred during the last 15 months that has really exacerbated our concerns. But living and working in Howard County, I'm so confident that we can all rally together to provide the necessary supports to our students and our families during these times that are greatly filled with challenges. So Dr. Ball, I want to thank you personally and professionally for your work as our county leader, for acknowledging the problems and the challenges which we have in our community and implementing targeted solutions that are going to impact change and effectuate change for our young people and our families. I'm so proud to be a part of our community, part of the school system, and part of the fact that we're acknowledging the expansion of STRIVES today. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Dr. Martirano. Now I'd like to invite the Deep Run Elementary School Vice Principal, Sophia Quirk.
Hello, my name is Sophia Quirk, and I'm the proud assistant principal here at Deep Run Elementary School. I am so excited to begin this partnership with fellow local leaders in order to bring awareness and supports to this vibrant community. In collaboration with the Howard County government and the residents of the Deep Run Mobile Park, we are looking forward to continue the authentic conversation to hear more about the specific needs of the community. The many components of these efforts will address the diverse needs of the community, which include access to after-school childcare, providing necessities such as back-to-school learning materials, access to mental health supports, and establishing the local leadership team here in Elkridge to continue to determine next steps in our efforts. I'd like to thank Dr. Calvin Ball, Dr. Martirano, and Mr. Ben Barnwell with the local leadership team, the local children's board, for their continued support and advocacy. Thank you so much.
Thanks. I would like to now invite the Oakland Mills local leadership team representative, Alexis Adams, up.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alexis Adams, and I am the co-chair of the Oakland Mills Local Leadership Team. The mission of the Oakland Mills Local Leadership Team is to mobilize the residents of Oakland Mills to build an equitable and cohesive community where children, youth, and families thrive. And thriving is a word that we really spent time digging into and trying to understand what does that really mean and what does that look like. What we found is that really the residents and the people of Oakland Mills are the ones who are going to be the ones who are going to determine the meaning of that word and how we actually actuate that within our community. And so we started by asking parents and families, what are the hopes and dreams that you have for your lives, and what are some of the obstacles that stand in the way and the barriers that prevent you from reaching those things? And so what we were tasked with was looking within our community to figure out what strengths do we currently have, what resources do we have, and how do we as citizens and residents come together and try to put together a plan to address the needs that have arisen out of this community survey, as well as things that have been expressed by so many people. And so within the past 3 years, we've been able to have a lot of impact within our community in terms of seeing a lot of progress with the programming that's happening within Oakland Mills, but also on an individual basis, folks who are involved with the leadership team, seeing their leadership grow, seeing more of our students step into leadership roles. And so some things that I would like to highlight today is that we have served families, particularly during this pandemic, with providing food pantries. And so we've seen so many amazing organizations within the county provide the same type of service. But because this initiative came from residents, we found out that there were particular areas that weren't being reached, that there were certain folks who still didn't have access to that. And so rather than having residents come out to different locations, we were able to meet them where they were at. So we were able to go into some of the community centers as well as the apartment complexes to make sure that those folks were able to get the food that they needed. We also provided parent and student huddles to help students as well as parents navigate this new digital age with folks who are going to be applying to college for the first time. What does that look like when you're not able to go on campus? And so we were able to provide community for folks to be able to share resources, share ideas, and also talk about the struggles that they were having. We also had a Project Right Now, which was an amazing initiative that was with our middle school students that helped them to be able to build their literacy skills as well as become published authors. We had our 3rd annual job and career fair, and so something that came out of the survey was that there were a lot of students who had ideas of what they wanted to do in terms of careers, but what was the pathway? How do I actually get from where I am to my dream? And so what we were able to do was to bring parents as well as alumni from Oakland Mills into the community so that we can have a career fair so that students would be able to see what is possible for them, but also have an idea of what a pathway would look like. And even better is that we were able to have some local businesses in our community come and interview some of our students, and they were able to get jobs for the summer. And so that was also addressing the great need that was expressed that we need summer employment for our youth. And so what is really special about what's happening in Oakland Mills is that we are very fortunate to be in a county where there's so many great resources, but we think that the greatest resource of all is the residents within our community. And so what we're seeing is that people are being empowered and they're mobilizing themselves to get together in small communities to build relationships with each other to solve our own needs and our own problems. Thank you.
Thanks so much. And then I'd like to invite one of our scholars up to say a few words. Masroor Haq, please come and join us.
Hello, my name is Masroor Haq, and I'm 14 years old. I've lived in Howard County all my life. Before the schools closed and all extracurricular activities halted due to the COVID-19 pandemic, I was going to school every day, participating in county-wide GT orchestra, lacrosse, fencing, and track. I was a straight-A student with a very busy life. Then all of a sudden, I had nothing to do, and virtual school started to appear more and more boring by the day. I was stuck at home with my mom and sister, and although I love them both very much, I was sick of them. And the worst part is I wasn't hesitant to tell them I was sick of them. My mental health took a turn for the worse. I started to feel more and more depressed and acted out with aggression towards my family. There was no end in sight as far as I could see. Then my mom enrolled me into the Hoco County Scholars program. After 11 months in isolation with no contact with same-age peers, I was around people. I had a break from my family, and they had a break from me, which was pretty good. The Hoco County Scholars program saved my life. I would like to mention some of the ways the program helped me. It brought the much-needed hope back into my life. I was excited to make new friends, and I looked forward to waking up and going to school every day. I had very supportive teachers, and the staff members were also very supportive as well. They helped me realize I wasn't alone. Just like me, there were other kids going through the challenges of puberty, isolation, and depression during this difficult time. The existence of this program was a testament of care shown on the part of the program developers towards kids in my situation. The enrichment classes and social and emotional learning lessons taught me how to tackle the obstacles that life was throwing at me. Through this program, I was able to make new and wonderful friendships. Had it not been for this program, I would have never had such a diverse group of peers. It would be a lie to say that this program completely reversed the negative toll that the pandemic took on my life. It didn't. But thanks to the Hoco County Scholars, I'm well on my way to the path of recovery and normalcy. I'd like to thank my mom for recognizing the need for me to be in an in-person setting and enrolled me in this program. I'd like to thank my teacher at the program, Mrs. Byerly, the site coordinator, Mr. Adams, for helping me gain my confidence back and for putting up with me when I might have been an annoying presence. In the end, I would like to thank the developers and organizers of the Hoco County Scholars Program, and I wanted them to know you made a difference in my life. I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Well, thank you to all of our speakers. And as you can see, it takes an enormous collaboration and partnership to make all of this happen and for Strives to be as successful as it is. So a thank you isn't quite enough, but again, I'd like to say thank you to County Executive Ball for your increased investment in this strategy and for prioritizing the health and well-being of our children, youth, and families. I'd also like to thank Superintendent Dr. Michael Margarano for his continued collaboration and partnership in this critically important work. And additionally, this work would not be possible without the support of our Department Director, Jackie Scott, the dedication of our board, and the incredible passion and hard work of the local Children's Board team. Lastly, these programs wouldn't be successful if it wasn't for the participation and commitment of our students and families. So thank you all for being here today, and we will take any questions you may have.